Okay, let's get this underway. This is my May 18th video journal trading review thing. We're going to talk about uh, why I am, at least for a little while, stepping away from the Discord and the live streams because it impacted my trading today. I was not super psyched with how I handled trading. It started impacting me yesterday and led to some good concepts that I learned just in reviewing my trades yesterday, but let's talk about this. So we were basically range bound between these zones. I'm on the replay mode, by the way. So this is the 17th of May. So yesterday at 1 in the morning, we did get something of that push up, and that is where I would have taken profit, and I had a limit order set that automatically filled at the type 1 to go short. And you saw me mention yesterday that we danced around in here, and I did not take that. I would have thought about going long at that position. And the reason I would have thought about going long at that point was because Don was saying that we were looking for possibly a push up and a continuation and breaking out of this zone. And I can see, like, okay, that makes perfect sense when you look at the way that things are moving. When you look at the way that things have moved, we've been in such a strong downtrend that it's like we probably need a little bit of green. We're in that like oversold territory, and so it should not come as a surprise to anybody if we have a little bit more green than is expected, kind of like what we had right here, where it just rocketed up for several days, and then we go back to our normal downtrend that we've been in for really all of this year. Um, and so I was short here. I got out at break even around there. We came down. I tried going long. That's where I tagged out at break even. And I ended up in this weird position where I was in both MES short because I got back in my short position, and I was in, or sorry, MES I was short for the June expirations, and then I was long for the September expirations, which basically means my net deltas would be zero. I'm basically just waiting for the market to pick a direction, and then I'll tag out of one trade but be in another trade. It's really an overly complex way of trying to trade in a zone where I don't really feel confident about what direction things are going. And this is an interesting moment where my own personal psychology and the way that I'm being influenced by other traders is actually hindering me because I've realized through the back test that I've done so far, and I'm gonna pen down the time either tomorrow or Friday to do some more extensive back testing of this to really get some solid numbers as far as this trading system that I'm putting together, if we can call it that. Um, but the rules are really simple. We test a zone from the bottom, we go short. So I'm looking at a test from the bottom and saying, "Hey, I think it's time to go long." Like that doesn't make sense. That's not how zones are supposed to work. And you could say, "Well, yeah, but if you're wrong, like if we are going to go long, then you'll take a loss." And my answer is yes, exactly like what happened right here. I shorted type 1, type 2, took a loss, got long on the retest and made all that back on that move up. And so, worst comes to worst, I'll do it again. But that isn't what I did. I was in that weird trying to hedge against myself and not feeling overly confident one direction or the other. And what we ended up seeing was a push up to that type 2 point where I would have gotten in short right there with a stop probably right about there. I would have been like 3 contracts in on this. And let's draw out our little tool. I did not take this type 2. So I broke my rule set in a couple of ways. Oh, sorry. Let's cut this down to 200. Not that number. That's a big number. 200, and yeah, it was something like that. And so my 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio would be right about there. Okay? So I should have taken that type 2 short. That's what my rule set says. And I was playing that tight based on these wicks right here. I anticipated it not going above that wick, and so that's right around where my stop would have been. That's where my stop was for the type 1. So we pushed up. We got that rejection overnight. We started bleeding off. And this morning, I got out of my long position. My main thing being in reviewing my trades from yesterday and in really thinking through my mindset. The reason that I started just religiously trading the zones in the way that I have is to remove my own emotion from trading. The more that I think and the more that I get engaged with what's actually going on in the chart, the worse I do. The more that I just trust the zones, trust the system, trust the process, it works out better. And I'm sure there are tweaks that can be made. There are things that I could do better. There are ways that I could learn how to manage my own emotions and, trail positions instead of just letting my stop out there. Little things like that. But for right now, I'm really just dialing in. I need to be following the zones and just we test a zone from the bottom, type 1, type 2, with my take profits in place. Don't try to play the game and get cute with it. And what would have ended up happening and working out, that's right around the time that I tagged out this morning, I think. Oh, no, sorry, that's 2 o'clock in the morning. Where did I get out? Was it 5 or 6? So it might have been worse than what I thought. So here's a great example of that one trade right there. One trade, type 2, I would have locked in 3 times my risk in profit first thing this morning. And I'm still in a type 1 short that is meant to run all the way back down here. Now, if you watch the markets today, you know exactly what happened. We bled off with a vengeance. I took profit and I got a notification that I tagged into my long position. I tagged into my type 2 and then I took a loss. And unfortunately, we have not gotten the retest. So I'm really hoping tomorrow we see the bulls step in a little bit and give us the retest, because as you can see, I have my limit orders set. I want to short here, short here. So I'm hoping we see a push up, we tag that, and then we just bleed off. So what ended up happening, my end result today was I was down about $100 on the day. TradeStation says I was actually down like $67, so I'm wondering why there's a slight discrepancy between TradeStation and TraderView. They're accurate enough to work out for my purposes. But you can see I locked in like a $100 loss on that trade, and then locked in $355 winner on my Type 1 short. I should have made an additional $600 on that type 2 short that I was never in because I didn't stick to my rules, because I was listening to other people and thinking that we were going to go long. So it ended up costing me. Instead of having, I should have had one of my better trading days because of that type 2, and instead I ended up having a red day. Not a massively red day or anything like that, but the way that this system works, and the way that it worked through backtesting, when you let your type 2s run to that like 3-to-1 ratio, even if all you do is a 2-to-1 ratio, it still ends up being a profitable system. But that 3-to-1 ratio really drives up the profitability. And I think I showed some of my backtesting results from before, where in like a month and a week, it was like a 5-week time period from the beginning of April to the beginning of May, the account would be up. If you're risking 1% per trade, you'd be up like 50% in a month because of those type 2s and really just letting your winners run like that. So I'm actually making things more difficult on myself by not just sticking to the system. And to sum it all up, that's because I was listening to people like Don and others in the chat saying, yeah, I think we're bullish tomorrow. That has happened once before also, where I would have taken a perfect type 2 short and excuse me, and just made out like a bandit on it. And I did that exact same thing here. And actually the scenario was so eerily similar, because we had Powell speak, we saw some bullish momentum in the market, and then the next day it just sold off with a vengeance and broke below the next zone, and we're getting ready to short it. So I'm really hoping that we're going to see a repeat of that and we get a push back up and we can short this. But it was the same thing. Powell spoke. We saw the push up, grabbed a type 2 short, and we dropped the hammer on things. Um, so to mitigate this, and to make sure that I really just dial in my own trading system and my own mindset, I'm just going to step away from Discord and from the live streams for like 2 weeks. Just trade my system, not overcomplicate it, not think too much about it, see what the results are, see how it performs. Going to do some more extensive back testing and work things out, and really just try to clear out anything else that could influence me to stray from this system that I think has great potential and is obviously working so far for me, as long as I stick to it. So yeah, the next 2 weeks I'm still going to be doing these video reviews. I'll still be around on YouTube. You can still tag me in Discord if you want to talk. but I'm not going to be joining in on the general conversation because I really just want to focus myself on dialing in what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks and what has been working out pretty well so far, and what would have worked out great today. So there you have it. There's how other people's opinions have swayed my trading, and every time it happens, I end up regretting it. So we're just going to stick to the charts for a little bit and see what happens from there. So thanks for watching. If you want to follow what I'm doing and my trades and all that fun stuff, you can hit the little subscribe button. And if you have any questions, tag me in Discord. Come find me. I'm more than happy to try to explain what my mindset is and how I'm doing things. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.